Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, the fate of the Grand Lucayan Resort. The disaster ministry under review. The immigration minister meets with Haitian pastors. The walls are tumbling down. And 4 arrested following a major drug bust. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, Commissioner of the Bahamas Department of Corrections, Charles Murphy, has been placed on immediate administrative leave pending a full investigation into several issues, according to National Security Minister Wayne Monroe. He said in a statement, the 3 areas of immediate and greatest concern are the prison may not be operating in accordance with the Correctional Services Act, management may have breached an order made by Supreme Court Justice Klein ordering the release of Prescott Smith, and that Smith subsequently tested positive for COVID-19. Monroe says it came to his attention that Smith was quarantined in a cell with 3 other individuals. He adds, in the face of these concerns, Commissioner Murphy was directed to proceed immediately on administrative leave. Deputy Commissioners of Corrections Bernadette Murray and Doan Clare, who were in the Ministry of National Security, have been ordered to return to the prison. Clare will act as Commissioner of Corrections. Monroe says he is concerned over the condition of the prison and some of the protocols reported to be in place. He says he has tasked the acting commissioner and the deputy commissioner with assessing the current condition to immediately seek to remediate poor conditions and tighten protocols. Well, following a meeting with the Board of Lucayan Renewal Holdings Limited today, Deputy Prime Minister Chester Cooper says he still feels the Grand Lucayan Resort deal was egregiously bad. In fact, he says the amount he feared the former government spent was not far off. Cooper says government will follow the law and pursue the agreement in the best interest of the Bahamian people. Kyle Joaquin reports.
I actually said it was an egregiously bad deal. And I can confirm to you today that I didn't hear or see anything that would cause me to change my mind.
After touring the property and seeing exactly what's happening with it now, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper says Cabinet will have to determine the fate of the Grand Lucayan Resort. The Minnis administration purchased the resort from Hutchison Whampoa in August 2018 for $65 million. There were concerns over how much money government was spending on the property per month. While he wouldn't give an exact figure, Cooper says his estimation of hundreds of millions was not far off.
I had forecasted prior to coming to government that the government would have spent already in the region of $200 million. I'm also unhappy to tell you that I believe that's close.
Cooper said he will make a detailed statement next week, but said the deal is undoubtedly costing the Bahamian people. Just days before the general election, former Tourism Minister Dionisio de Aguilar expressed disappointment that the Minnis administration was not able to conclude the sale of the resort before the end of its term in office. He cited the protracted wait for Royal Caribbean and ITM to close a separate deal with Freeport Harbor Company. So, what happens now?
The specifics of what will happen moving forward we will discuss. Suffice to say there is a legal agreement in place. We will follow the law and we will pursue this agreement in the best interest of the Bahamian people.
Cooper said the deal is front and center, and there will be movement in negotiations one way or the other. Attorney General Ryan Pinder was in that meeting.
I'm happy that we have been briefed as to what might be the next course of action over the next several weeks. We will be discussing along with our colleagues at Cabinet next week, and we'll be making a further statement as to what might be the immediate course of action.
In the meantime, the DPM advised that there may be changes to the current board, as is the case with many other government-appointed boards.
We're assessing the boards at the moment. I'm very thankful to the very competent board that's been in place, and we anticipate that once there is an election, boards would change. But I've been assured by the professional Bahamians who sit on this board that their expertise will always be accessible, whether the board is changed or not.
Now again, Cooper would not go into much detail, but the Attorney General was present. Cooper said government will review the deal and determine the way forward. From Grand Bahama for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Newly appointed Minister of State with responsibility for disaster preparedness management and reconstruction, Miles LaRota, says there will be a review of the entire ministry to determine the way forward. LaRota will also have responsibility of 3 other major government agencies. Jasmine Brown reports.
The state minister gave the update moments before he met with employees of the ministry on Thursday afternoon, saying they will take a close look at what has occurred over the last 2 years.
The whole department, including NEMA, the DRA, there is going to be a review as to what is going on so we could know where we are in the event that we're going to be moving forward.
When asked what he hoped to learn from the review, LaRota said this.
Any government that comes in would like to know the position of every agency. I come in with no expectation, only to be led by the facts, and once that is a reality, then being a part of the government, we would move in the direction as dictated by cabinet.
The Ministry of Disaster Preparedness was created under the former Minister administration after Hurricane Dorian ravaged Grand Bahama and Abaco. Both NEMA and the Disaster Reconstruction Authority fall under the ministry. While in opposition, Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis called for a commission of inquiry to determine the fate of the missing on Abaco and Grand Bahama after Dorian. After defeating the FNM at the polls earlier this month, Prime Minister Davis revealed elements of the ministry will now fall under the office of the Prime Minister.
We will take our briefing, we will have our technocrats make their proposal, and we'll see how well we could blend those two with a view of whenever that next disaster come, heaven forbid, that we'll be better prepared.
LaRota also revealed that he will be taking responsibility for more than just NEMA.
BIS, BCB, NIB, and DRA for now.
Now, in addition to meeting staff here, LaRota says his assessment will also include meeting staff in Grand Bahama. While he did not give a timeline for when that will happen, he did say it will happen sometime soon. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
As the government moves to quickly repatriate more than 1,000 Haitian migrants, Immigration Minister Keith Bell revealing there has been a slight setback. This as he met with leaders from the Haitian community today. Berthany McDermott reports.
Technical issues at an airport in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, delayed the repatriation of more than 1,000 Haitian migrants who were recently apprehended in Bahamian waters, according to Immigration Minister Keith Bell.
We wanted to start repatriation exercises this morning. Unfortunately, the government of Haiti has indicated that the technical systems have fundamental issues with their radar at the Port-au-Prince airport, and so they're looking at alternatives for us. But we anticipate, if not this afternoon, by tomorrow morning for sure, that we would commence repatriation. And it should be completed by the weekend.
Of the more than 1,000 migrants, 413 have already been arraigned. On Wednesday, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force advised that it apprehended another 137 Haitian migrants in waters near Ragged Island. One of them died. Immigration officials met with pastors of the Haitian League Thursday afternoon to assure them that this process will be carried out humanely. Immigration Director Clarence Russell explained that women and children were separated and will be held at a Catholic safe house on New Providence.
Now, while noting that they do not support the illegal migration of Haitians from Haiti, pastors from the Haitian League called on the Bahamian government to continue exercising patience, compassion, and for justice to be served.
We are not stop the Bahamas to do what he have to do to make the repatriation, because this is the law. But in the meantime, laws and justice work together with compassion.
We want to work together, and the league and all the churches together send the message to Haiti, and the government in Haiti can get the message also to just talk with the people in Haiti for them to stop with the life in the sea to come here.
Meantime, Bell called on the residents of Inagua to bear with the government. He said the Royal Bahamas Defense Force is on alert for more Haitian vessels.
The next step for the government is obviously to ensure that we blockade the channel between Inagua and Haiti, and I'm advised by the Minister of National Security that we have stationed boats in that channel to ensure that we cut it off.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, police have arrested 4 men following a high-speed chase and drug bust this morning. The suspects were reportedly carrying 100 bags of suspected marijuana valued at over $3 million. Jillian Gray has that.
Tango 5, control 5 members. Control for Tango 5 will receive receiver.
Officers hauled away an omnibus loaded with 100 bags of marijuana. According to police, the bus happened early Thursday morning after a high-speed chase caused the bus driver to crash in bushes off Boatswain Hill.
The bus ended up on the side of a street, and the officers on inspection of this bus found a large quantity of dangerous drugs. The 3 suspects that were on the bus made good their escape.
Drugs have an estimated street value of $3.53 million. The suspects were said to have fled on foot, and hours later, officers said 4 men were in police custody assisting with the investigation. Police press liaison ASP Audley Peters says they believe the dealers are involved in an international organization.
It is a possibility that it's a part of a large operation, being that the Bahamas is not known to be a cultivation point, but a transit point. The players are not known at this time.
This bust was a result of a tip police received. Peters said the help of both local and international partners is needed to foil the plans of criminals.
The members of the public could be confident in the work of the police department, but more particularly joint efforts of the Drug Enforcement Unit and their counterparts in searching out these suspects and rooting out the individuals who are attempting to bring these illicit drugs in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas to cause injury to families and to the reputation of this country.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Shifting gears, the Churchill building, where weekly cabinet meetings were once held, is now a memory after workers began demolishing the old building. In October 2020, then Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis announced plans for a new cabinet office at the existing site in the heart of downtown Nassau. He said the new building would be designed by Bahamians to maximize and maintain the historical value. Partly sunny skies and slightly cooler temperatures today. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina. Our first look at weather tonight is being brought to you by Ports International, trusted medical supplies for a better quality of life. Beautiful conditions outside our studios, temperatures in low to mid 80s, 83 outside our studios right now with just a few clouds. We'll call it pleasant. Your winds out of the northeast at 8 knots and your feels like temperature a comfortable mid 80s. Satellite view around the area, that high pressure ridge continues to build across the area, keeping us with lots of sunshine, blue skies, some patchy clouds just to the south of Andros and west of the Ragged Island chain. That should stay there and should weaken overnight. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Up next, could 2 recent murders in the Big Yard be connected? Government intervenes amid backlash over Atlantis Resort's COVID testing policy. Plus, will there be an honorarium for immigration officers? That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Two recent murders in the Big Yard off East Street may be related, according to police. The most recent killing in the area happened last night. Jared Higgs has the details.
It is a possibility that may be the case, but we have not confirmed that. And so we will wait for the investigation to lead us into the direction that it would confirm that suspicion at the moment.
A man was shot and killed in the Big Yard off East Street. Just a little over a day after, a man was killed in the exact area. According to police, it was around 8:30 when the control room got word that a man was shot on Windsor Lane West. Officers responded and found a man suffering from gunshot wounds in bushes on the northern side of the street.
Initial investigation in this matter is that the male was walking along Windsor Lane when he was approached by a gunman who shot him several times about the body.
Family and neighbors were inconsolable as the man's body was taken away. Some shouted at police, expressing anger at back-to-back incidents in their community. Peter says Tuesday afternoon and Wednesday night's victims weren't related, but they may have known each other from living in the same community.
They have a right to be angry. It is a part of the grieving process. We understand that as the initial stages of the grieving process, and they want to vent. They have that right to vent, and we understand that. But however, I want to assure them that the police department is working on their behalf.
There have been 7 homicides in the past 13 days, an increase in killings according to Peters. He's urging members of the public to come forward with information on any of these latest crimes.
For the most part, the Big Yard is a loving community. We understand that. However, but there are one or two individuals who are not of good character and cause their community to have these incidents.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Immigration Minister Keith Bell announcing plans to present a white paper to Cabinet for law enforcement officers on Inagua to receive an honorarium. He says the work they're doing amid an influx of Haitian migrants is commendable and cannot go unnoticed.
And I may be speaking out of turn, but it is my anticipation that I would perhaps present some paper to Cabinet for some honorarium to those officers. Because I've been down there and I see what they are faced with down there, and I wish to commend each of them and to let them know that you have the full unequivocal support of this government.
In other news, Atlantis workers can breathe a sigh of relief for now as government intervention has prompted the mega resort to hold off on a new policy which requires unvaccinated workers to pay for their own COVID-19 test. Berthany McDermott reports.
Atlantis Resort has agreed to postpone its new COVID testing policy, according to Labor and Immigration Minister Keith Bell. Just yesterday, the company announced that as of October 1st, it would no longer pay for COVID testing for unvaccinated employees.
The Director of Labor, Mr. Robert Farquharson, he has reached out to Atlantis and they have agreed to postpone the implementation of that policy. I have consulted with the Honorable Attorney General, Minister Ryan Pinder, and I've asked his advice. We will be guided by the advice of the Attorney General.
In a letter to employees, company CEO Audrey Oswell said Atlantis was proud to join many other Bahamian companies in requiring employees who are not vaccinated to be financially responsible for their weekly rapid antigen tests. The mega resort secured a discounted rate of $16.50 per test. Oswell indicated that the issue of vaccination is more significant than any one individual or Atlantis, but is a matter of putting the community's health and the economy first. But Bahamas Hotel Catering and Allied Workers Union President Darren Woods isn't having it.
If that's a test that you want them to take, then you need to pay for it because Section 9 of the Health and Safety Act is clear. And while Section 9 says that they should not pass the cost on to the employee, the Section 3 or 4 also says that they have an obligation to provide an environment. And to put it in the context, if you have to provide that environment that is safe for not only your employees, but also your guests, you cannot pass that on to the employees.
This is not the first time the union has spoken out against this issue. While he's encouraging his members to get the jab, the union leader maintains the new policy is meant to force workers to get vaccinated.
Of course it is. Because they say if you're not vaccinated, this is what you have to do. Because if you're vaccinated, right, you are still able to contract and also spread. So the vaccination is not to say that you can't get it. It says that if you're vaccinated, you may not get it as bad.
Now, while many may be on edge about the recent announcement, the Labor Minister is asking them to be patient with the new government as they seek to work out the details.
Let's wait on the advice of the Attorney General. Our government has adopted a particular position, and once the Attorney General gives us that advice, and once the government makes a decision, I'm sure that it will be to the benefit of the employees. So I tell you, just be patient and wait for the process to take its course.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Still to come, thousands of pounds of seafood seized from suspected poachers, and retailers and contractors to resume Sunday operations. The details when Our News returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. 5 Dominican poachers were arrested on Saturday after Defense Force officers confiscated more than 20,000 pounds of seafood from them, according to the Ministry of Agriculture and Marine Resources. The fishermen were reportedly captured near Diamond Point in the southern Great Bahama Bank with more than 5,000 pounds of hogfish, over 2,000 pounds of Nassau grouper, 11,000 pounds of whole lobster, 276 pounds of lobster tails, and over 1,600 pounds of assorted fish. Officials say the poachers were operating illegally with compressors and spare guns. They are also accused of having a quantity of drugs on board their boat. The Dominican-flagged boat also allegedly attempted to ram the HMBS Bahamas while attempting to escape. In other news, the retail and construction industry is applauding a decision by the Davis administration to remove COVID restrictions that prevented construction and retail businesses from operating on Sundays. CBS Bahamas head of marketing and e-commerce, Brent Burrows, reacting to the amended emergency order.
We're very excited. Sunday has traditionally been our second busiest day of the week. It's been a while since we've been allowed to open on Sunday. Our customers, Sunday is typically a big DIY day here in the Bahamas. A lot of people gardening and painting and everything else. So I think our customers are excited, and I know we're excited to be back on Sundays.
Minister of Economic Affairs Michael Halkitis says the government was amending parts of the emergency order that are not supported by science and economic data. Owner of MGM Construction, Mike Morley, says it's great news for the industry.
It's a big pull, in the construction industry now. We are way behind on finishing up, clients, and this is a big pull. So we can make our deadlines now, and it's a plus. It's a big plus.
Straight ahead, tracking Tropical Storm Victor, and meet Zuma the Explorer after this.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. Tropical Storm Victor expected to strengthen over the next few hours. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christine, and welcome everybody for your second look at weather on this last day of September. We are still watching the tropics. We're watching Sam out there, very powerful hurricane, still turning in the Atlantic, moving towards the west-northwest, eventually turning more towards the north over the next 24 to 36 hours. Should stay east of us. Swells will begin to affect the islands over the next couple of days, so beaching and boating will be a challenge for us for the next several days. And of course, we have Victor out there, newly formed tropical storm that formed yesterday, moving towards the west-northwest, eventually turning more towards the northwest. Both of these systems staying in the Atlantic and not really posing a problem to any landmass. Sam should pass to the east of Bermuda. Speaking of beaching and boating forecasts for the weekend and Friday, northeast to east winds 15 to 20 knots. Those winds picking up, seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Low tide will be at 10:20 tonight. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Tuesday. Plan on doing any beaching or boating? Make sure you exercise extreme caution for the next couple of days. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Well, nature has a new best friend in the form of Zuma the Explorer, an animated hero who shares her love of the Bahamas environment with Bahamian children. The Adventures of Zuma the Explorer was created by the Bahamas National Trust.
I'm Zuma, an explorer, commander-in-chief of the Coastline Defenders.
troops and I are stationed here, where the land meets the sea.
The Adventures of Zuma the Explorer was created by the Bahamas National Trust and the Sandals Foundation. BNT Executive Director Eric Carey says education is a key part of the environmental conversation, and Zuma helps to get that message out to kids ages 5 to 12.
Let's protect our coastlines by taking action. Get involved with coastal cleanups, mangrove planting, and tell everyone why mangroves are so important. Happy exploring!
You can follow Zuma's adventures on the BNT's website or on YouTube. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.